ثلاث اشهر هلا تخلص القصه.
Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm and these are today's headlines. Parliament convenes to elect members of its various committees as well as members of its bureau. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is expected to visit Israel and the Palestinian territories in an effort to help end the spiraling violence in the West Bank. And Justin Trudeau is set to become Canada's new Prime Minister as his Liberal Party sweeps through power in general elections. Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri has chaired a session to re-elect members of the Parliament Secretariat, as well as heads, members and rapporteurs of parliamentary committees. The session concluded with only minor changes to 2 of the 16 committees. Tripoli MP Robert Fadel was replaced with Lebanese Forces lawmaker Antoine Zahra in the Finance and Budget Committee, while Lebanese Forces MP Fadi Karam was substituted with Fadel in the Economic Committee. No significant changes were made to the heads of parliamentary committees despite a brawl between the Future Movement lawmakers and Free Patriotic Movement MPs over corruption and theft accusations during Parliament's Public Works, Transport, Energy and Water Committee earlier this month. Berri and Prime Minister Tamam Slam then held a closed-door meeting on the sidelines of the session. The military tribunal has postponed for the second time the trial of radical Sheikh Ahmed al-Asir over health concerns, angering families of the 18 soldiers killed during the 2013 clashes with the preacher's supporters. The next trial session will be held on January 5th of 2016. Military Court Head Brigadier General Khalil Brahim has ordered the formation of a medical team comprised of a psychiatrist, general health physician and diabetes doctor to observe Asir's medical condition and file reports to the court after his defense lawyers said his health was deteriorating. His lawyer Antoine Name presented formal objections before the court, saying his client needed permission from Dar al-Fatwa to stand before preliminary investigations due to his position as a cleric. Asir was arrested in mid-August by General Security at the Beirut airport while trying to flee to Nigeria via Cairo, using a fake Palestinian passport after more than 2 years on the run. The Beirut Institute Summit has taken place in Abu Dhabi earlier this month under the theme Reconfiguring the Arab Region and its Global Space Beyond Political Economy and Security Threats. The summit hosted political leaders, senior policymakers, prominent thinkers, major CEOs and civil society leaders. FutureTV correspondent Shahir Dries was on site and brought us an exclusive interview with UN Deputy Secretary General Jan Eliasson regarding the situation in Lebanon and neighboring Syria. Have a listen.
Your Excellency, how do you evaluate the situation in the region now?
It's a very volatile and even dangerous situation. I think the Syria war has reached a crisis point that goes beyond what we have seen already. We have seen enough of the damage to the Syrian people, to the enormous consequences for countries like Lebanon, Jordan, Turkey, and the spread of ISIS into Iraq. But it can get worse now. We have military action taken by the Russian Federation. But I paradoxically think that this should all remind us of the importance of moving to the political process right now and go back to the formula of a transition with full governing powers for the transitional government. That is still the formula that Kofi Annan negotiated in 2012, which I think could form the basis of a settlement. We need now the determined will of the Security Council, but we also need the action of powerful regional actors.
Do you think Lebanon it's more secure now?
I admire Lebanon and the Lebanese people for standing up to these tremendous pressures from the region. You have paid quite a bit of a geopolitical price for the tensions in the whole region for a long time. And now you've been under tremendous pressures, and I must say that I understand fully the pressures on your infrastructure, on your schools, on your health services, on jobs in the country because of the refugee crisis. And I was part of the initiative of setting up an international support group for Lebanon. The Syria war continues to be like an infected wound for the region, and there is a point where it might turn very dramatic, and that's why we all must do everything to stop the war in Syria and to make sure that the beginning of a normalization in Syria will be possible. That will take much of the burden away from Lebanon, but in the meantime we have to show solidarity with Lebanon and with the Lebanese people.
Maybe can you talk about the interference of Hezbollah inside Syria?
I say generally that we should reduce all influence from the outside. Unfortunately, the war of Syria has turned more and more into a proxy war, where interests from the outside play out their policies and their strategies inside Syria. And the more one could leave to the Syrian people themselves to decide their own future, the better. But now both sides who are fighting this war are being helped from the outside from different sources. And I would say what we need now, more than everything, is to bring the conflict down, de-escalate the conflict, and stop the flow both of money and soldiers to the area.
The topic of equal pay for actors and actresses takes center stage in Hollywood. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back. A Palestinian man has been killed by Israeli forces near the city of Hebron in the occupied West Bank after he allegedly tried to stab an Israeli soldier. The incident occurred as violence flared in several other towns across the occupied territories. Separately, an Israeli settler was killed when he was reportedly run over by a Palestinian man near Hebron. Witnesses said the settler was attacking cars in the area before he was hit by one of the vehicles. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is expected to visit Israel and the Palestinian territories in an effort to help end the spiraling violence. Ban will reportedly hold talks with Israeli and Palestinian leaders. Turkish authorities have arrested the head of the bar association in the southeastern province of Diyarbakir on a charge of promoting terrorism after he commented on the Kurdistan Workers' Party group during a televised debate. Today's detainment of Tahir Ilsi, a prominent lawyer who last week said on the CNN Turk News network that the PKK is not a terrorist group, came against the backdrop of heightened conflict between the Kurdish fighters and the army in the country's southeast. On Wednesday, Ilsi described the PKK, which has been designated a terrorist group by Turkey, the US, and the EU, as an armed political organization with large support. And across the Atlantic, Justin Trudeau is set to become Canada's new Prime Minister after his Liberal Party swept to power in general elections, ending nearly a decade of Conservative Party rule. The Liberals seized a parliamentary majority, an unprecedented turn in political fortunes that smashed the record for the number of seats gained from one election to the next. The Liberals had been a distant third-place party in Parliament before this election. Prime Minister Stephen Harper conceded defeat, ending his government's 9-year run in power and the 56-year-old's brand of fiscal and cultural conservatism. The topic of equal pay for actors and actresses took center stage at Elle magazine's Women in Hollywood Awards in Beverly Hills. Oscar-winning actress Jennifer Lawrence started the recent conversation about the Hollywood wage gap when she wrote an essay attacking it in Lenny newsletter produced by Girls writer and director Lena Dunham. The issue has been gaining traction ever since. Lawrence, who according to Forbes was the world's highest paid film actress last year, said she found out through leaked Sony Pictures emails that she had been paid millions less than any of her 3 male co-stars in the 2013 movie American Hustle. She wrote that she felt she had failed as a negotiator.
The big conversation that's on everyone's lips right now is equality for men and women. You know, why it should. I hope one day no one cares whether the role was written for a man or a woman, as long as it's a great role. And that's when you know that we've taken care of an issue that needs a lot of care right now, which is why are we thought of as less than our male counterpart.
Jennifer Lawrence recently wrote a piece.
She wrote a beautiful piece.
Yeah, what was your reaction to Jennifer Lawrence's piece?
Brave, beautiful, right on, right on. And you know, my question isn't so much about the wage. I think the wage gap is just it's a result of something bigger. and I've said this so many times, but no one can seem to give me an answer, wants to answer, is just why are women thought of as less than? Why we allowed that thought, and I'm blaming myself as well. Why have I allowed that thought process to be around me? And I've always deflected and moved forward, and I was like, live by example, don't get upset by it, just make changes by how you're living your life. But I don't think that's working. I think you need someone like Jennifer Lawrence, who's hugely respected and successful, to stop and say, you know what, I know I have all these blessings, but here are the facts. Here are the facts. It still happens to me.
Well, I don't know about negotiating because I've never negotiated for myself. It's not something I think I'd ever feel comfortable doing. And the whole topic I find quite awkward to talk about because being British, we just don't talk about those things. It's quite weird. It must even be quite a strange question to ask. Yeah. So, you know, I feel very blessed. I've had a lovely career. I've worked with wonderful people. I have a really nice life as a consequence. I'm able to take care of my family, and I feel amazing about what I've achieved. I really do. I feel great. I've always felt included. I've never felt discriminated against, and I just like to look forward. You know, that's the way that I am.
Well, I believe that when women come together and support each other, it uplifts us and makes us stronger. So that's why it's important, because it just gives us, it inspires us to do better. That's what I believe.
Star Wars fans are eagerly waiting for the release of The Force Awakens trailer. As fans in the UK sets record pre-sales on Monday. Although Disney is keeping the plot of Star Wars The Force Awakens under wraps until the December 18th release, British movie theater chains reported record business for advance tickets, underscoring projections that the movie will take in about $2 billion globally.
Who are you?
I'm no one.
I was raised to do one thing, but I've got nothing to fight for.
Nothing will stand in our way. I will finish what you started.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it. The dark side. A Jedi. They're real.
The Force. It's calling to you. Just let it in.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a recap of our top stories. Parliament convenes to elect members of its various committees as well as members of its bureau. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is expected to visit Israel and the Palestinian territories in an effort to help end the spiraling violence in the West Bank. And Justin Trudeau is set to become Canada's new Prime Minister as his Liberal Party sweeps to power in general elections. Those are your top stories for today. I'm Linda Tamim, and I'll see you again tomorrow for more updates. So tune in.
سنة و3 أشهر بحالنا تغلط الوسطى